Welcome to Google Weekly.
Welcome, my name is Bjorn Berendt, and this is the Google Weekly Podcast, which is part of the AskBG.net network of EdTech services. Never stop learning. This is episode 20. Android Market is being renamed to Google Play, and guest host Derrick Wlodarz. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did, BJ.
Okay, this is going to be recorded March 12th, 2012. Welcome, everybody. We have a great show, and we have a great co-host this week. Before I get too much into the show, and Derrick, you're just going to have to butt in anytime you want me to stop talking. I'm used to talking to myself here.
Sounds good, BJ.
On the website, I've added some forums, so please go ahead and talk to people and hopefully get some conversations going on those forums. I'm looking forward to communicating with people there. I've also added a Lino-it page. I don't know what to really call it. It's basically little sticky notes, and it's open to anybody. So I said any listeners. I opened it up so listeners could post their information as like a little sticky note on the website. It's something that the conference I just attended was doing, and I thought it was a great idea. So I just added it to our website. So go ahead and check that out. That's the listeners link on the website. Also wanted to remind everybody about the New England Google Summit that's happening March 22nd and 23rd, and I will post the link on the show notes. And Derrick, you said you had one too.
Yeah. Actually, I just found out about this today. Actually, a very short time before we went live, Google emailed out there's going to be, for everyone that's living in the Midwest states, there will be a North Central Google Apps User Conference, and then it's actually going to be this month on the 29th of March from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Google's Chicago offices. So if you're going to be planning on being in the Chicagoland area, or if you want to come fly on in, they opened registration on that, and that's going to be due by, I think, March 23rd. And that's primarily targeted for people in the education and corporate community. So, BJ, I believe you're going to put that in the show notes, the registration link for everyone.
Yes, I will. And
okay.
Before I go on, I want to let everybody know that Derrick's internet went out today. So
yeah, I am. It's quite funny. The day we do this show together, my internet from a very good provider that I have went out, and it's going to be up for a little bit tonight. So we are doing this call, and I'm calling in over a plain old cell phone. So we're doing our best here. I have no internet live in front of me, but we will make this work.
Yeah, and we'll get you back on the show too. So, well, before we go on, I wanted you to say what makes you a great co-host.
Well, I would have to start off by saying that I'd say I'm pretty engaged in the Google Apps community. I've been working with due to my position primarily at District 207 in Park Ridge. I've been involved with Google Apps since about 2008 when we started moving our students over to the platform. And I've been doing a lot with apps since then, and primarily I've been moving a lot into the small business arena with Google Apps, and we've been helping a lot of small businesses out.
Yeah, I do the
near
same.
Near the Park Ridge area to get moved over, and we're doing a lot of training. So to be honest, Google Apps is probably one of my primary focuses, in 2012 and beyond. And I just think it's a great platform that not only education can utilize, but business as well. And I think it just makes everybody's lives easier. So
yeah, my daughter's gymnastics, I actually got them hooked up on Google Apps. So, and I was working with it to figure out a way to do photo submission, so people can do photo submissions through Picasa to the gymnastics site. Yeah, I kind of got it working with the email submission. There's a little caveat to it where people can go straight in without it being moderated, but yeah, I think most people wouldn't really know what to do on that one. So it's a little bit moderated. It's actually going to work out really cool, but using it for the business.
What's nice is Google had that functionality with their Blogger platform. I saw at a conference about a year ago how someone was using Blogger, and actually you can send in emails to an email address that's connected to your Blogger account, and you can have postings come up from things that you email in. So I presume that's going off similar kind of technology like that.
Yeah, it works very same way. I just put it in as an attachment, and it goes into like a Dropbox. So and then I think I also did a dental laboratory. I did their website in Google Sites. So those small businesses, this is like ideal for low cost, easy to create websites, great communication.
Google Sites is a great product. Actually, I was running my company website, FireLogic.net. We were running on WordPress for a little bit since I started my business. And I actually moved my website over to Google Sites back in, I think it was August or September of last year, and it's been a great move. I mean, WordPress, while it's a great product, it's just very difficult to work in for someone that's a non-native coding kind of technology person. So I moved everything over. It's very easy for me to update. All my different staff members can run their changes for the pages they want to do. I have a very nice blog that I was able to incorporate using the announcements feature in Google Sites. So all in all, it's just made the whole experience a lot easier, and I feel like I have that much more control over everything I do rather than being cut into this, limited scope of, what I can do in terms of a platform like WordPress. So I do recommend Google Sites for anyone that's doing, a small, basic business website, or if you're doing a sports team, or, any kind of thing that falls into that realm where you don't need anything too elaborate or, too highly functional or integrated with other services.
And we're actually going to talk about some upgrades they've made to Google Sites in the What's New section, which we're going to hit in there pretty soon. I just wanted to point out one more last thing. You're working with Chromebooks in that school, right? Am I correct?
At our school?
In the school that you work with?
No, actually, we're not using Chromebooks yet. We have a small pilot. Let me correct myself. We have one of our sister schools here at the district that is piloting the Chromebooks right now, and that's not a program that I'm directly involved with. But I hear it is going very well for us. Where I had direct assistance in getting a school up and running was we were called out to go to Buffalo High School, and that's actually in Buffalo, Missouri, and we were out there in December. They actually got a nice grant to roll out laptops for a one-to-one initiative for some of their students. So we came over there and got them all set up and rolled out on those Chromebooks. Gave them, training for the teachers, best usage practices, and the whole 9 yards. And from everything I've heard, they're really loving it. The kids are really, becoming more engaged, and compared to traditional Windows machines that they've been using for some time now, this really is a nice change for them. So I really think the Chromebook idea and the whole design of the Chromebook, the browser is the computer. I think really that is where education's going, and when you look at everything that's online right now, and when kids are doing projects these days, internet access and websites are their primary focus and key. I think a platform like the Chromebook is an ideal way to go in the classroom.
I couldn't agree more, and I think I have some students at the conference I went to that probably they went iPad, and I think they may have wished they went Chromebook.
I mean, I'm not going to say that the iPad's not a good device to use in the classroom. I think it does have its place. We actually did a training on iPads in the elementary school setting just a few weeks ago at our local library for teachers. But I feel that the Chromebook, on the whole, when you look at a device in terms of, what are you going to go with for a one-to-one initiative, a device that can, give the kids the power of the web, give the kids the simplicity that, the iPad affords, but also give them a platform that they're going to be working on and utilizing, which is that the QWERTY keyboard design, where they can input data very easily and manipulate data. I think that the Chromebook again brings together the best of both worlds: the simplicity and the ability to do some of those things that a tablet just doesn't afford.
Yeah, I would agree that there are some places for the tablets. I'm more of for the one-to-one, I'd rather have Chromebooks and have a lab of iPads or tablets. That's kind of like my model that I would prefer to have.
Have you been working with the Chromebooks extensively, BJ?
Not extensively. I do have a Chromebook, and I've kind of played with how it should be integrated into the school system. I've let some teachers play with it. I have one lab at my school at Mount St. Joseph that it's a desktop lab, but all it does is run Chrome. Nothing else with that. And the one-to-one that I have is with Windows machines, but the only thing on it is Google Chrome. So I have a similar setup and a similar concept, but I don't have actual Chromebooks, and that was actually coming down to finances and the fact that they still had the $20 a month plan when I needed to buy laptops this year.
Yeah, the one nice thing that the Chromebooks that you purchase from Google, and I get this question a lot, can the Chromebooks that I buy, from Amazon or Best Buy be used in the Google Apps control panel? And, both of us know that answer is no. You do have to purchase those directly from Google through their program. But the nice part that you do get by going through that program is you get that integration right within the Google Apps control panel, so that the functionality of being able to, have custom start pages for your classes, being able to set up those pre-installed apps for the kids or the browser extensions right within the control panel, or even block apps that you don't want kids to be getting access to. I think it's very powerful, especially when, they start making it a little bit easier for teachers to get in there and perhaps configure some of their classroom sets of the Chromebooks and their particular settings. I think that's going to be really powerful compared to, a platform like the iPad where, we're getting some of that functionality, being able to prepare those devices for a classroom environment. But for the most part, I think the management side of things, I think the Chromebook, still wins out at the end of the day.
Oh, definitely. As the person who's in charge of managing all those, please give me a Chromebook any day over the iPad. Okay. Let's move into the what's new in Google. And we have quite a bit of new stuff this week. And one of the biggest things is the Android market is renamed to Google Play. The Android market has always been incorporated books, it's incorporated music, and it's incorporated the apps. But now they've actually changed that from the Android market, and they've renamed it Google Play. And the reason why I think they're switching this is they're trying to get more people using the Google Play on any device. So like your music and everything else can be picked up on a Chromebook, on your Windows machine, on your Mac machine. I'm not too sure about the iPad. And it used to be you go to the Android market and you could still get the same things, but now they're renaming it Google Play. There's no functionality difference, but I can really see where they're going with this in a marketing standpoint.
I totally agree with you, BJ. I think that it was only natural. It was only a matter of time before Google was going to do something like this. You see the Chrome platform and the Chromebooks, getting off to a good start, and them having their, sort of their own ecosystem, and then you have the whole Android market that's been established, since 2008 already, and that's had its own platform in terms of how apps are purchased. I think it was only a matter of time before these two were going to merge, and it only makes sense because, just like Apple's doing their approach and merging the marketplaces, between the Mac OS, and then the iPads and everything you have on the iPhones and iPods, you have to have a unified, streamlined service if you are to gain, any kind of good, ease of use, a good traction in the user community. So, as I said, this kind of a change was in the works, and it was just a matter of time before Google was going to launch it on us.
Yeah, I think it was a great change, and it's a good rebranding of their Google Apps Marketplace.
And I think, and as you mentioned just right there, I think it was a great idea for them to do that because, just think about the confusion. Someone goes on their Android phone and they're, saying, well, I go to the Android store to get this, or the Android market to get their apps for their phone, but then they jump on their Chromebook and they got to go to the Chrome web store. So it just made things that much more confusing. And I think streamlining that's just going to make it much easier for, everyone that matters, and that's the end users themselves.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the next one because I think it's a good thing. New features being added to docs and sites. I'll talk about the docs, and you can talk about the new site additions. How's that sound?
That sounds good. I don't have that the page. Wasn't able to launch that page before the internet went down, VJ. So if you could just bring it up verbally, and I can definitely go into it at a little further length.
Yeah, that's why I gave the little hint into that one. Just a reminder, he's working off his cell phone with no internet access, and we're bringing it to you. We were going to have this podcast. Okay, well, there's some new features in Google Docs. Not sure what a centralized comments menu is, but apparently it's now centralized. They have added some better text search in their PDF and images. And that's a really good feature to have. I like the fact that you can upload your PDF files to Google Docs, and it does something called OCR. Do you remember what OCR stands for?
OCR stands for optical character recognition, and that's a technology that's been pretty standard on, for those people that are familiar with the Adobe Suite and Adobe Acrobat. It's been doing that very nicely for quite a few years now, and the fact that Google has added that, I think is especially nice because, for some of the gripes that we hear in terms of what Google Docs lacks in PDF support, that, was one of the largest ones that we couldn't search very well within documents. I think that ability now brings Google Docs and its PDF capabilities, not all the way up to par with Adobe Acrobat, but I think they're fairly close. They're really getting there now.
Well, I've always liked the fact that you could always export as a PDF. I mean, I remember Microsoft Office did not have that for years. There was no way to really export to PDF, and then I remember OpenOffice had the ability, and that was like the coolest little feature there. And then Google Docs had that built in, so I'm really happy to see they're even expanding on that one.
It's very nice because for any PDFs, big thing is for me, I like to store a lot of PDFs within Google Docs. I know a lot of people that I work with do as well. And now, while you were able to store those PDFs, as files within Google Docs and do what I believe just were title searches based upon the title of the document, now Google Docs is actually going to fully index all the contents within those PDFs, which means that when you do a search in that Google Docs search bar, you're searching within those PDF files just as if you were searching within Word or Google Doc native files.
Yep. Okay, moving on to some other features. They've added JavaScript and CSS to Google Sites, and this has been, a lot of people are happy to hear this one.
Yeah, this is a good development, especially I have a web developer on my staff at FireLogic, and this is one thing that he's applauding because Google Sites, for people that are coders and love to get into the code and insert custom things into Google Sites, there was a lot of functionality that was sort of kept at bay, kept under lock and key for what you could and couldn't put in. The fact that they do allow this addition where you can insert this custom code is very nice because there's a lot of apps on the web and a lot of custom pages and custom additions that have been coded over the last few years.
A lot of things that's pretty much embeddable.
That you can go ahead and insert now that this functionality is available. So I think the biggest people that are going to really like this are the ones that like to get a little deeper in the code and do a lot of custom things with their sites.
Yeah, I interrupted you a little bit there, but I was going to say, anything that has embed in it, there's been a lot of things, whether it be like Logster or all these other really cool tool applications out there. Their embed code is done either two ways. They're either done as an iframe, which kind of takes the whole website and puts it in there, or they'll do it through a JavaScript. In any of the embed codes that use JavaScript, you had to find some other way of doing it. I think like Twitter, adding the Twitter app was that way. And I had to find a big workaround for that. And now with the insert HTML box, I think is what they're calling it, you can add those in very simply, very easily. And I think I've already started using it I think I told people I was starting EdListen. So I was playing with adding some things in there, and I had to embed something, so I was using the HTML box right off. So that's a feature I'm happy to see come into play.
Yeah, those custom, as you said, BJ, a lot of those custom applets and little additions to that you could put in other websites that you couldn't do in Google Sites. I think that Google unlocking that feature now brings Google Sites up to par with what you can do on any other platform. So it's nice to see, and I think it'll make customizing your Google site with all those little applets and add-ons, as you said, Twitter. And I was having trouble with inserting a little add-in called Share This that brings in the little Dig and Facebook and Twitter buttons right on the top of any Google site page that you make. Now I presume that's going to be a lot easier. So very, very good news.
It also includes the Google Plus applet. That was a JavaScript that could not go into Google Sites. I had to find a workaround for it a few weeks ago. So you can do that now. Now, the only thing that I think Sites needs is to be able to center the menus on the top. The horizontal menu really needs to be able to be centered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. And do you know what this is? There's add donut charts and error bars to spreadsheets. Do you have any idea what a donut chart is?
I personally, if I saw a donut chart right now, I probably would be able to describe it a little better. I have an idea of what it is in my head, but I haven't personally used one, and I don't think ever. So I'm not really a donut chart expert. I presume it's just another type of way of graphing data within Google Spreadsheets, if I'm not mistaken. And Google seems to have been adding a lot of that functionality over the last 6 or 7 months in terms of taking the data you have in a Google spreadsheet and being able to visualize it in different ways, more akin to what you can do in Excel.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was, and I usually just go off their blog post for the show, so I didn't go out and test it, but I can kind of visualize what they're trying to do and with a chart. And not sure when I would use it, but it would look really cool.
For those that need it, it's there.
Yep. One of the other things, email link capabilities in Chrome now for Google Apps accounts. Derrick?
Oh, yeah. The nice feature that Chrome actually added now is you can, before when you had links on the web that were email addresses and, they were formatted with the prefix of mail to, generally when you click on that, and this was a big issue at our high school district. We were trying to figure out how to get Google Apps to open or Gmail to open these links, because traditionally these links were built to open a mail client like Outlook or Thunderbird, something on your computer. When we moved over to Google Apps, this functionality was gone because we were now using Google Apps, but the web wasn't made for a day and age where Google Apps existed. So this is sort of a thing that's been missing in the Chrome browser for a little bit of time. There have been solutions with Google Talk being able to open these mail to links, but it was very nice to see that just recently now Chrome browser, right built within the browser itself, allows you to open those links on the web that have an email address right within a new message in Gmail, so you can start typing away an email to whoever you're trying to get in contact with. So I think it was a feature that was a long time coming, and I'm glad to see that it's been finally included.
Yeah, but I couldn't agree more. They've kind of had it in the past, being able to do this if you installed like this little applet. And when I first introduced Google Apps, I was going around and installing that on everybody's machines. And I also suggested it, install this applet if this is a user that is dead set on having Outlook as their email application. So all those people who are so used to that, well, I need that application. I usually install that app, and now that I'm seeing it come to the Chrome and it's becoming more of a standard, I think it's great. I'm going to talk about one more other new feature, and then we have an off-topic feature. The goo.gl, goo.gl is a URL shortener, and I think I'm going to take this one from you. We have it listed as Derrick's talking about it, but I haven't talked enough. The URL shortener, and I use this quite a bit in the shows, and it's a great way to take a big, long URL and just shorten it into something that can be read. And I used this in the conference recently, where I wanted people to go to a Google document that was open for everybody to edit, but I couldn't give them that big, long 100-character URL. So I put that into a URL shortener like goo.gl. There's a couple other ones out there, and it shortened it up to something I could post on a document that people could type in and go to. The other way that I use the URL shortener is for tracking ability. So once you put shorten it, it then gives you a listing of where all the, how many times people have clicked that link. And I think it also may go where they have clicked that link in terms of what country. So you can find out what country, when, and how many times it has been linked. So that's a great little thing. And it's improved a little bit more. It has now a page preview. So if you scroll over your shortened link, it'll give you a quick little preview of what the page is that it goes on. Do you use this, Derrick?
Goo.gl, I was actually going to say, this is a product where I'm kind of torn between using goo.gl and then my old favorite of tinyurl.com. And the reason being is that I do like the way that goo.gl allows you to track, have the advanced tracking capability. The only thing I don't like about the service personally is the fact that you can't, and you correct me if this is a feature that they have now, as far as I know, you can't customize the links that you make.
Not that I'm aware of. And actually, it's funny because what I use goo.gl for my generic stuff, but I have I update my email signature each week with the new show. And I use tracking for that, but I actually use Bitly, which is another URL shortener. And the reason why I like using Bitly is I can actually add a little description. So I can say, this is in my email shortcut. So what I'm finding a lot when I use the URL shorteners is I'll shorten the URL and I'll use it for the tracking ability, but then I forget where I posted that URL to. So I use Bitly so I can actually label them as to where they're going.
Yeah, and as you said, all these services, they'll do similar features. All of them have their benefits. I guess the only reason I tend to sway more towards tinyurl is just because I've been using it for quite a while. It was around before goo.gl came out, I think before Bitly. And I guess it's just more sort of a personal affection and ease of use for myself. But one of those things that I do like about it is the fact that I can customize every single link. So we do use it in all of our training sessions we do. So when we're making links for participants to go to, I like to be able to customize them because it just makes it a lot easier when you're presenting something on a screen and you tell them, just go to tinyurl.com/ February 22nd training, something nice and simple that you can read out and they can listen to. But, they all work in a similar fashion and, to each his own. So.
Okay, you hear that, Google? We need 2 more features. We love what you're doing. We need to be able to customize the URL and we need to be able to add descriptors. Okay. And
I think if goo.gl offered that, I would definitely make the full-time switch. So I hope someone in Google is listening.
Me too. Okay, Derrick, you have an off-topic one, and I think this is kind of cool. 14 million new jobs because of the cloud by 2015.
Yeah, and this was as I said, a little bit off-topic, but I think this is something that affects, anyone that's, working with the Google Apps services or, people in the tech industry as well. 14 million new jobs in just a matter of a few years, I think is a pretty hefty number. And a lot of people tend to, think of, the cloud just being this tagline that's, going to come and go. But if these numbers hold up, I think that there's a pretty good outlook for our job market globally. And if you take a look at the link that I put there, I can't get to it myself. It showed that the United States was going to see a nice chunk of this pie. And I think it's overall just going to be great for not only the Google Apps ecosystem because there's going to be more people involved with supporting this product and getting it out there, getting this the Google Apps service in education, getting it into more businesses. But overall, it's going to help those people that are working in our economy, and we need a boost in terms of where some new jobs are going to come from. So. Some of these numbers have to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt because I think this was a Microsoft-sponsored study. But then again, I think there's some truth to it, and I personally have seen a lot of growth in terms of what I'm doing in the small business market right now in terms of the demand for not only Google Apps but other cloud services. So I think altogether this is a good sign of things to come for the next few years.
Yeah, I think right now it's all about informing people that it exists. I mean, most people that I talk to, especially in small businesses, don't even know that they have this option to get email for up to 10 people for free and a website that I can build very inexpensively that they can easily maintain and calendaring and all that. And most of them still don't realize that it's out there and that it is an option.
It's quite funny actually because when people ask me what is this cloud, Google Apps running in the cloud, what is this whole new concept, and I ask them, I tell them flat out, well, what have you been using for personal email for, the last 10 years? And, they tell me whatever, Hotmail or AOL, and I tell them, well, that's pretty much runs on the cloud as well. And then I just start showing these other examples of how, the cloud's already been here. It's just we're finally gaining, as you said, gaining that awareness about what it has to offer. I think their eyes start to open. They start to realize that, if I've been using this for my personal email for 10 years and I've been pretty happy with it, I think it can do some good for, a platform like Google Apps, and be able to support my company on a very small dime.
Or even the Gmail users, like telling them, hey, do you see that thing on the top that says Documents? Click on that. See what you can do with it. Okay, well, moving on. One of the other things that I saw that came out very recently, and this is for those people with Chromebooks, is there is now an image editor built right into Chrome, the Chromebook. And this is probably, I think a couple weeks back, they announced that they were taking Picnic and they were kind of taking it away. They bought it out. It was a really good way of a web-based image editor. But then they were going to take the features of Picnic and incorporate it into Picasa, and it looks like Chromebook. So I'm guessing if you go to your Chromebook and open up the file manager by hitting Control-M and open up an image, you'll get the image editor. And I haven't done this myself yet because I only saw this just before we came on the show, but I bet you it's going to look a lot like Picnic.
So BJ, I haven't seen this personally myself. Is this image editor going to primarily work off of files that people have hosted in their file storage on their Chromebook, or is this actually pulling photos off of their Picasa connected account?
When they announced that they were taking away Picnic, they were talking about incorporating the features into Picasa. Oh boy, it's the end of the day, isn't it? The announcement that got put out there, and this was on Google Plus, was talking specifically about the file manager. So this would be ones that would be stored on the Chromebook itself or on a flash drive. So we'll have to see. My guess is that it will get put into their Picasa very soon.
I think that's good to hear, especially because one of the other complaints, from a few people I've talked to that, do use Chromebooks in the classroom on a consistent basis is that the functionality of what you can do with files hosted on that, as I said, the file storage or on flash drive that you plug into the Chromebook is still very limited. So seeing Google sort of extending that functionality a little bit and realizing that, okay, there are some limitations to the cloud. We have to, put back a little bit of functionality in terms of, what can be processed locally. I think that is a good path for them to take, and help people edit those images if they're not necessarily, doing anything with them on Picasa. So that's good news.
Yeah, that's the best thing about Google is that they are constantly updating and making changes, and I love that about them. Okay, well,
and actually, on the same topic of Chrome, of the Chrome OS, BJ, I should have brought this up earlier, but actually at the high school I work at, we are taking. They offer the Chrome OS. You can download it in open source form, and you can actually put it onto almost any PC platform device. And use it as your primary operating system. There's a little bit of workaround you have to do to get it loaded and running, but we're actually piloting that on a few of our netbooks that we're using in our science wing, and it's going pretty well. I haven't heard any complaints over the last week, and we just rolled it out. And if you're curious about that, we can put a link in the show notes, but it's actually a build of Chrome OS called Lime. I forgot who the exact author is behind it. But he offers every single day the updated version of Chrome OS. You can download it and put it onto it. It's optimized for netbooks and laptops, but I have tried it on a few different various machines, and it's worked perfectly for me every single time. So we can put a link to that, and if you want to give that a try, it is an alternative to running, as we were running Windows XP on these netbooks, and it was just getting dog slow, and this actually provides a nice, quick experience for the students.
Yes, please send me that link and I will add that to the show notes. I'm doing something similar at Mount St. Joseph where I have a lab. I think I have a lightweight version of Ubuntu and I set it up as a kiosk, so all it does is just go in and open up an incognito mode of Google Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking. Then there was a couple other alternatives that did similar things, but they were very, very social. Like, and so too much.
Are you referring by chance to a program called Jolly Cloud?
Yeah, Jolie Cloud and Splashtop was the other one.
Okay.
And Splashtop was really, really close. It actually kind of worked, but it required Windows. And you had to install it in a Windows thing, and it would create a dual boot. So I
Hmm.
couldn't just. But it was exactly what I wanted. It would just boot it into Google Chrome, but I had
Mm-hmm.
to install it from Windows. So that one didn't go. So I'm really interested in Linda. Did you say it was, or was the website
Lime. This is
Lime?
actually an author that makes two different versions of the Chrome OS available. He started one called Vanilla, and now he's making Chrome OS Lime. And as I said, it's updated every single day, so it has the latest changes reflected right off of the source code from Chrome OS. All you have to do is download it. There's a little process for getting that onto a flash drive. You boot your laptop or whatever device you want to use with it, and there's a small script that you have to type in the command prompt to install it. When you reboot your machine, you have native Chrome OS running on it, and as far as I can tell, our students are enjoying it quite nicely. So we'll see where this pilot takes off to.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to have to try that one out. I'm going to move on to the next section, and this is actually, I'm going to talk about some conferences. Both you and I attended conferences this weekend. So I wanted to just touch base quickly about these, and I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Actually, March 1st, I was at the Illinois Computing Educators Conference 2012, and that was actually held in St. Charles, Illinois, so a short distance away from where I live over here in the O'Hare area. And I actually had a presentation that I was doing with colleagues of mine from the district, as well as that work with me at FireLogic. And we did a presentation utilizing the Google Apps. We named it Bring It All Together with Google Apps. And the primary purpose of this presentation was to show teachers, okay, so, going past the, basic functionality, what they can do with apps, actually showing them, how they can use some of these different apps and actually tie them in together and use them for a student project that they may want to work on. And we actually had three pieces to the presentation. I happened to cover, along with my colleague Michael, we covered how to use the Google Apps in terms of following and creating a project for the 2012 election. So I was showing teachers how students can use Google News to find information and target searches and pull those searches as RSS feeds into Google Reader. And then we showed off Google Sites and how you can pull that then into a Google site and show off instead of making a Word document or a PowerPoint. You just make a live website the students can do in teams and work together and present a lot of information that's collected over a period of time in a nice, clear, concise format. So that really went over well with the teachers, and especially a topic like the 2012 election. It's difficult to use traditional databases, as we all know, because these sources are being updated every single day. And, when you're using things like CNN and Washington Post and all these various news outlets, something like Google News and Google Reader become invaluable tools for working on something like that. And then we also showed off a very neat way to use Google Voice. And Google Voice has been one of those sort of neglected tools in the Google Apps Suite for a little bit of time in the education community, and that's because no one's really figured out how to how to use it effectively. But my colleague Adad, he works a lot with the ESL program at the high school he works at here at Maine East, and they actually use Google Voice. They're starting to use Google Voice to test on fluency, for English fluency on students that consider English as their second language. So they're actually using the voicemail functionality of students calling in and being told what kind of line they need to recite, and Google Voice is sort of doing that grading on them for how well they're speaking, given sentences in English. How well that translation comes out is, what the teacher's going to use as a baseline for how they're going to be graded on, how well they're progressing in the class. So it was a very interesting approach that we took to how the Google Apps can be used all together as one in terms of making projects and using them in the classroom, And actually, BJ, in the show notes, you can put the link. I posted the YouTube link for our presentation. We recorded the whole thing, so if you do want to view that, you can look in the show notes, and that entire presentation is on YouTube now.
That's really cool. Actually, one of my presentations I tried to do it over Google Hangout. And in the middle of it, someone actually did jump on. It was really loud because I was listening to a YouTube video, so my computer was turned all the way up. That sounded like a great video. I am going to post that onto the show notes and watch it myself. I haven't got to see it yet. So for the
we had a great response. We filled the room. There actually weren't enough seats for everyone to sit down in, so it was a nice time. We had a good chance to mingle with some of the teachers there, and I think they got a lot out of it. So if you think that you work at a school and you're not able to use Google Apps fully, or you don't understand how you can tie in some of the different aspects of apps, definitely give that a watch and have a look at how we use the platform, and maybe you can get some ideas for how to integrate it within your classroom environment.
That's great. The conference I attended was the New England One-to-One Conference. It was the first one this year. It was on a Saturday, hosted at Burlington High School in Massachusetts. It was a free conference, and there was over 400 people there. Some really great vendors. I think I saw Lightspeed, Google was there, plus a few other ones. And I was just amazed. It was a well-built, well-run conference. There was a lot of student helpers there, and they did a lot of the work in getting it going. And I actually did two sessions. I did one on implementation strategies, and that was a round table. And it took a little bit to get some people talking about it. And I have on my other website, askbj.net, in the blog section, I have the two presentations that I did. And the other presentation I did was on professional development strategies. And I think both of them went over quite well. And I'm someone that goes to conferences, and I can't sit and listen to a session. I don't know if you're that way, but I do so many presentations that I just can't sit and listen. So I like to get out and walk around during those times and just mingle with people. And so during one of the sessions that I wasn't listening to, I got to talking with all their students. So there was all the students were just kind of hanging out. And this school, it went one-to-one using iPads. And it was funny that the group of students and these are the student helpers. These are the student help desk kids. So the little more tech-savvy kids. They have iPads, but they're Google enthusiasts. And all of them have tried to find little tiny hacks of being able to get the full experience of Google on their iPad. I just thought that was just a really interesting concept. That here we're at this big conference, and they went all iPads, and I'm talking to the students, and they're kind of wishing they were almost wishing they didn't have the iPads in lieu of something that could run Google Apps a little bit better.
Well, and because, working with a lot of the Google apps, if you want to get the true experience on the iPad in terms of, for example, we did a training recently, as I said, on the iPads in the classroom just last month, and one of the big struggling points is getting a native full Google Docs experience. There is no app that Apple has allowed from Google that allows you to view Google Docs and work with Google Docs outside of the browser. So that is actually one big point of using Google Apps on the iPad that is still troublesome, and until that gets cleared up, I don't see how the experience in terms of getting that full ability of being able to work with the apps is going to be cleared up until there are those apps that are allowed into the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, I think someone who is another Google fanatic in Vermont, who went to a school that was a lot of Apple products, she was like, it's almost a step backwards. I mean, collaboration is such a big, key educational tool, and it's more than just Twitter, and it's more than just Facebook and social networking. It's really collaboration on documents. And Google has that hands down, and tablets, even the Android tablet, is not there yet, at least in my opinion. And actually, I'm going to put a shout out because it was the student that I was talking to. His name is Jake, and I think he's going to be on the show later on. So I'm going to actually have one of the students that I was talking to there on the show. And hi, Jake. I know you're looking forward to it. And I think it's going to bring us to the app exploration part of the website. And I found 3 little apps. The first one is the Marketplace, and this is the one. The Marketplace, again, is the one where your administrator, the Google Apps administrator, needs to enable. And I was showing this one came about because I was actually showing another administrator, another school technician who was looking to implement Google Apps. And I just wanted to give him a quick little example. And while he was on the phone, he had a little helper. And I heard him say, go write down your hours in the spreadsheet on the shared drive. And so that just kind of got me thinking, like, oh, a help desk would be really good for this one, just as an example. And so I didn't even know this existed yet. I just kind of went there, and as I was talking with them on the phone, I said, here, check out what else you can do is the Marketplace. And I thought to search for help desk. And this actually seems like a really nice little help desk. It's a free one. It's called Mojo Help Desk. It installed really easily. It had, I think up to on the free account, it had like two users you could do, but unlimited tech support tickets and things like that. So I thought it was a really nice little help desk, and I've kind of been looking for some, and I'll probably be using that in my school.
That's interesting that you brought that up because more than a few people have asked me what's your recommendation on a good help desk product for Google Apps, and I really didn't find anything available that was very solid. But this was a few months ago, last time I did a search on it. But I'm definitely going to give this Mojo a look and see what it has to offer.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was nice, and I want to look at it more. The next one is Shelby TV, and this is the Chrome app. So if you go to Chrome, hit the plus, and go to the Chrome store, you will be able to see this one in here. And this kind of takes all the videos that your friends across Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr have posted, and put it into this really fancy like television viewing thing. So check that one out if that seems interesting to you. The reviews seem pretty good on it. And
Very cool.
And the last thing I want to talk about is Podkicker. And I have, I'm going to mess up on his name, Nilo, one of the listeners who was the one that talked about one of the other Android podcast listeners that he has up there. I'm going to go on to my phone right now. And do you listen to anything podcasts on your phone, Derrick?
Do I?
Yeah.
Not recently. I want to actually try to get into that a little bit more, but I actually haven't been doing very much of that as of late.
Okay. Well, what he suggested was Beyond Pod, and that's a nice little free app. But I had trouble when I went in to try and use it because I just wanted to download those. So I looked to see what else was out there, and I found Podkicker. And I've been using this left and right, and it's a very simple one. It doesn't have any auto downloads. But you can subscribe, so any podcast that you subscribe to in your Google Reader, you can import them easily. You can either stream them, or there's a downloads thing, and you just kind of click the ones that you want to download, and you click a playlist, add them to a playlist, and you just play it. And once it's played 100%, it will actually delete the downloaded file. So it was just one of those things where it was much, much more simpler. If you're looking for something that does auto downloads and is a really fancy pod listener, Beyond Pod seems good. But I'm going to recommend Podkicker if you're just like me and just want 4 little buttons, something that you can make it easy to download the shows that you specifically want and play.
Very nice. I'm going to give that app a look and see if that's the one I want to go with. But it sounds like a definite nice, easy way to approach the the podcast scene, because some of the products that are out there kind of get a little too convoluted, have too many settings, and that's sort of the thing I've been looking for. Something simple, something that isn't too complicated and very easy to use. That's always key.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's going to finish up the show for today. So thank you. Actually, before I go, Derrick, is there anything else you'd like to say, and definitely how people can contact you?
Yeah, definitely. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, just visit my company website at FireLogic.net, and it's spelled just as you hear it, FireLogic.net. I have a contact page. You can just email me right off there. But one last thing I wanted to plug for anyone that's listening that's interested in becoming more of an advanced user in Google Apps, or if you're interested in becoming a certified trainer, or on the more technical side of things, if you're interested in becoming what Google offers, the deployment specialist certification. My company, my colleagues and I, we are currently setting up 2 different sessions, so 2 different boot camps we're going to offer in probably late July this summer for people that are interested in these products. And we're going to offer probably about 20 to 25 seats per track. So if you are interested in that, if you have been looking to take Google Apps to the next level, to get to learn the different ins and outs of the product, if you're an administrator or someone that's going to be migrating maybe a company or a school district to Google Apps, or managing Google Apps, or if you're on the end user side and you just want to learn how to use that suite completely, so you can be ready to take those certification exams for the Certified Trainer program, visit our website. We're going to have more information on that in the next month or so, and those are going to be in the Chicago area late July. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested. And as I said, go to my website and contact me through there if you want to get a little more information about it before we publish all the full details about the program on the web.
Hey, that sounds great. I'm glad you're doing that. And if I hear about it, I'll post it on the website or on the podcast.
Wonderful. I'll pass that along to you, VJ. If
not, we'll have you come back on as another guest co-host. I think I've had a lot of fun having somebody else to talk to besides just myself.
Definitely. I would love to come back on. It was definitely a pleasure being on here. Unfortunately, my internet wasn't cooperating, but I think we made it work just fine over a traditional cell phone. So next time, I hope the internet is up and we can work a little more cohesively together.
Okay, well, thank you for listening to the Google Weekly Podcast with your host, Bjorn Barent. And for this week, Derrick Wlodarz. I'm hoping I say that right.
You said it just fine, BJ.
I am been so bad. I actually mispronounced my wife's name is Carolyn, and I called her Caroline for at least 6 months before I knew her when we first met. So names and me don't ever mix, so I'm sorry. Okay, you can follow the podcast and contribute by going to www.google-weekly.net. You can follow me on Twitter or Facebook and Google+. And I encourage you to get the conversation going around the show by posting comments or using the hashtag GWPodcast within your social network. Again, thank you for listening and never stop learning.
This is Torrance, and thank you for listening.